Before Shark Tank, I would say, a lot many things were different, and Shark Tank came as a big change for us. I think the day we had our Shark Tank hearing, in a single day, we did more sales than we did in an entire month last year. Also, one thing that we learned from one of our investors, right? So they were like, yeah, Aditya, तेरे को अगले साल 100 करोड़ क्यों करना है? तू 50 करोड़ क्यों नहीं करना तेरे को? क्या तू अगले साल मर जाएगा? या तू वेंटिलेटर पे अभी? बोला नहीं, फिर तेरे को क्यों करना है 100 करोड़? Get this quote somewhere that culture is not what you write on your website, right? It is about how your team members feel on a Sunday night about work, right? We were actually planning not to go to Shark Tank, right? So when the opportunity came, so interestingly क्या हुआ, हमें बताया गया कि हमारा Shark Tank.
What has been some of your marketing strategies that has helped you scale?
One of the key things how we are going about building this brand is
How about meeting a person today who has actually revived one of the oldest art forms of India, which is actually recognized by the UNESCO? An art forms जहाँ पे हम 500 से 30 लोगों पे आ गए थे, और शायद अगर ये recognize और identify नहीं करते इस art form को, it would have extinguished by now. People who were actually earning just 2,000 rupees a month, struggling for survival, to some of them earning up to 2 lakhs a month now, and therefore not only surviving but thriving as a community. Today we have Aditya Agarwal with us, who is going to talk about his company P-Tal and how they made this dream come true as a very pure mission and vision of reviving this community to contribute back to a very, very interesting and healthy item for all of us. And coming from the name, you would realize what that product is. Welcome back to Badhta India Dekho. Enjoy the episode. Welcome Aditya to Badhta India Dekho. It's our pleasure to have you on this platform, and especially for the audience, such a young entrepreneur doing so well in the entrepreneurship world is a matter of pride and truly represents Badhta India Dekho, as the name suggests, because India is moving forward because of people like you who have found a very interesting space and are actually doing impactful work in that interesting space. I hope you are feeling the same about coming on the platform.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's truly a pleasure and super excited for our chat today.
Fantastic. I think if I start from a very different perspective of entrepreneurship, what do you think are the negatives of this profession as an entrepreneur? And because you started right after college, you have almost not worked, you have not seen the other side of the world where 95% of the country is. So obviously a lot of positives, but what would be some of the negatives of getting into this?
I think, so it's been a brief journey for us as well. So I think whatever I'll share on this platform or today on the show will mostly be from a very brief time period and very personal experience, which may not truly represent facts, but just personal experiences. Right?
Makes sense.
So for in terms of the negatives, right, one is definitely the fact that more from a professional POV, right? Like for us, I did not have any work experience before this, right? This was my first work stint per se, right? So I think you do learn a lot of things when you work in that professional corporate setup or in a corporate company, right? You get to learn a lot of things which then may, help you in your startup journey as you build. Like for us, one thing that we are very focused on right now is to build a good culture in the company, right? And build an environment where people would love to work. And I think a lot of things you can learn about that from working in corporates, how systematic things are, how, people take care of things other than just what your main business is, right? So I think that is one thing that maybe by entrepreneurship, you have to do everything by yourself, right? Like you have to figure out things by yourself, even though a lot of playbooks have come up, a lot of things have come up, or a lot of guides have come up. At the end of the day, every journey is very personal, right? Like, and what is entrepreneurship or what are startups? A lot of startups are built out of innovation, right? And when you're innovating, you're building something new, right? And when you're building something new, you don't have any past record or someone who has already built it that you can, copy from or learn from, right? You have to learn some of the things and you have to build and try out some of the things yourself. So I think that is one of the challenges or negatives you can call about it, that it's a new experience altogether. And secondly, I would say is sort of about managing relationships, right? To an extent that you may lose out of touch with your family, your friends, right? They will have a very different life than what you are having, right? So for example, for me as well, most of my friends from college, I would say 99% of them went into corporate jobs, right, which they got from college, and which was very nice, right? But they had a very different life. They used to get free on Saturdays and Sundays, but for us, Saturdays and Sundays were even more packed because it gave us a time for us to introspect, work on more projects, figure out different things, right? And I think one of the complaints or one of the things that most of our friends tell us, yaar, tumhara badhiya hai, you can take a break anytime, you are doing your own work. But what we also tell them that, given the fact that we have the power that we can take a break anytime, हम ले ही नहीं पाते उस वजह से, right? We are never able to take a holiday. So I think one challenge that I am also facing, I think a lot of founders do face, is about managing those relationships. Being okay with the fact that you may not speak for lot many days, many months, but coming back to it. So I would say, for me, some of the best friendships that now I have cultivated is with founder friends, right? Because they are also in the same situation. They understand, right? And they are there to support you both professionally, personally as well.
True.
So I think you do lose out on maintaining some of the relationships because of how you are focused a lot on building that startup of yours.
So true. And you picked on two important themes. First one, you spoke about culture in an organization, and therefore a lot of learnings can come if you have worked and if you understand how cultures are built. If I ask you personally, for you, what is a culture? What is the proof that your organization has good culture? Is there a formula or a proof that you can get for defining that, yes, I have a good culture?
So, I read this quote somewhere that culture is not what you write on your website, right? It is about how your team members feel on a Sunday night about work, right? So, how I personally look at culture from a very brief experience is, how we as, let's say when we used to study in school, we used to have a lot of other things apart from studies as well, right? To keep us entertained, to keep us motivated, to keep it not monotonous.
Yes.
Right? We used to have annual days, we used to have cultural events, we used to have sports days, etc. That is a very small example of, how you do a lot many things which ultimately help you on the academics part as well, right? So building upon that, whenever we think about culture as a company, we look at it in a way that, most of the startups, right, or let's say early stage startups like ours, we may not be in a situation to provide the best packages or best, money to people who come in. But what we can actually do is that everything other than money is something that we can provide, right? So this also becomes one of the key questions or key things we ask in the final stages of an interview while talking to a candidate, is that, what do you need from us apart from money? And we actually note those two things down. And then our idea is to actually work on those things and provide that candidate, some of those things when he joins the organization. Because, at any point of time, any XYZ company may come and offer them a 1.5x or a 2x salary. But at that point of time, what will really have these candidates stick to your company is actually how they feel, working in your company, in terms of the culture, in terms of the growth opportunities that they're seeing. So we feel that, your salary package can attract a candidate to your company, but your culture is what retains that candidate in your company. So that is how we look at it.
Wonderful. I run a company called Cracked, and I have also felt that culture has a lot to do with how many people are ready to listen to you in an organization. And sometimes what you're saying may lack logic or lack future potential, but the fact that you're heard in the company gives automatic respect back to the employee that someone is there to listen. Of course, if it is a founder or a co-founder, even better, but bandwidth may not allow that. So you need to have people who are open to listening within the company also, in terms of what needs to improve. Also, before the show, when we were chatting, I realized a lot of things that you do comes backed with primary research. And you were speaking about customers at that time, and now you spoke about we actually asked people what do they want other than money, again backed by primary research. How did you make it a part of your DNA? It's a fascinating thing actually when you think about it, that everything is backed by real surveys that are being done. How did this come in as a way the company performs?
So, what we always do is that, and which is also part of our culture, that we have to believe that we know a lot of things, but at the same time, we do not know many things beyond that.
Right.
Right. So we always invest a lot of time in learning more and more things. And we are fortunate enough that we have some group of kind supporters, kind angel investors who are on board in our company. And what we value the most is not the money that they have brought in, but a lot of the other things apart from money that they have gotten, right? Similar to our culture discussion. And that has been super helpful. So I think over the past 1 year, the kind of people who have already built companies at large scale, right? Who may have built global companies or who have built companies that have done an IPO, right? Those people have a lot of things to share, and we try to spend a lot of time with them, right?
Right.
And let's say if we are in an early stage, a lot of people who have built 100 crore businesses, a lot of people who have built 300 crores businesses, 500 crores, we keep speaking to them because they have certain elements, they have walked that path and are able to share their experiences, right? So, it happens quite a lot that whenever there's a situation that comes in our company, right? Let's say may it be related to a culture thing or, any of the customer problems or business related problem, I immediately dial up, one of our investors, who would be the best guide for that, something like that, right? And that conversation helps to another level, right? So we have had a lot of such instances,
Amazing.
Such problem statements, and I think this is one of the best practices, and this is like a privilege that now we enjoy, that we have these people on our speed dial, who will be there to help us, who have already walked that path, and that saves a lot of time, right? And time also becomes a huge cost while running a company, along with all the other costs that are there.
So relevant mentors in every space who can guide you in the right direction also contributes back to many of these habits that you are mentioning. Fantastic. Aditya, now therefore understanding you a little better, just help us, how has the journey been from the beginning? Where did schooling happen, then college, then how did the idea of P-Tal come in? Till then, if you can help us.
So, P-Tal that you see as a brand right now, it actually started as a college project, right? We started this in SRCC, and the idea was just to, look at how we can revive these artisans. But let's say if we go back a bit more, I actually come from a small town in Odisha where I was born and brought up. And then after class 10...
Where in Odisha?
I was in Raulkela.
Okay, I studied in Raulkela for 4 years.
Oh, nice. What a sweet coincidence.
Yeah.
So, I was there in Raulkela till class 10.
It's not a very small town, vaise.
Now it is not.
But
back then when because I think that a lot of people now have started being aware about it, also because of how it has developed over time.
Yes.
How even I think the Hockey World Cup was in Odisha.
Yes.
Right. So that brought a lot of developments there. But I was there till class 10, and then I wanted to then shift to Delhi because I was planning to do commerce in my 11th and 12th education. So I then shifted to Delhi, did my schooling in DPS RK-Puram, and then there, I think for, let's say if you have taken science, the paths that you have are usually engineering and medical, right? Correct. So they have a clear path. You have to give competitive exams like IIT or NEET, right? But here I think for most people it is that they have to go to some of the best commerce colleges after schooling, right? So I think that was the only agenda that we had, or only goal we had, that we had to do excel in boards, right? And that was the clear-cut key or path to take us to the right college. So I think things started happening from that perspective. More than the education, I think coming to Delhi and being in a school, where you had 24 sections, right? Starting from A till X, right? Gave a lot of exposure. It was a mini India in itself. And that is something that, brought me outside of my comfort zone. And
was it easy? Sorry, I'm stopping you. Was it easy to make the transition? Because it's a massive one. That's where my organization is also based at. That can you make the transition from not being so open and expressive or confident to coming in a metro city corporate world, although this is not corporate, but corporate world, and then still standing on your own feet and expressing yourself openly. This transition from a Raurkela school to DPS RK-Puram, must have been difficult. How? Just tell us a little more about the transition that took place.
So, interestingly, and again, that transition you have pointed out very correctly, because that time when we also had the orientation, the principal also shared that from Odisha we just have 2 people in the entire batch, right?
She
So they
separately shared
mentioned, right? Because she mentioned some of the states where they are getting more people in,
Yeah.
right? And to be very, very honest, the first 1 week was very scary, right? Because you may be doing very well
In your school.
in your school in Raulkela, right? You must be the top 3. But the moment you come to, let's say, DPS RK Puram or any school in Delhi, you realize that, every single person here is super talented and is doing so much more, right? So you get into that stage where you feel like you have an inferiority complex. You feel that, now you have to do everything by yourself. You come out of your comfort zone. There's no home, you have to wash your clothes by yourself. You have to live by yourself. And
You are in the hostel.
I was in the hostel.
My God.
Right. So that happened, and again, like first week was very scary, but I think then RK Puram in itself prepared us to become strong, right? So and one of the perks of staying in hostel was also the fact that you had so many people around you, who were studying round the clock, right? You see people working around you with so much dedication, so much motivation, that you automatically get that dedication, right? Like you feel like that, you are doing less and you should keep pushing yourself even further. So I think that kind of environment was super helpful for us, right? And I think there are some people for sure, like you mentioned, right? Like who just get bogged down by it, right? But I think more of such environment helps you thrive, right? So we also had some of the people who joined the hostel, who joined the school, but went back to their homes in the first couple of months itself, right? They could not cope up, they could not adjust, right? But I would say the people who stayed, they benefited massively from it. And I would say not just from the education or, the kind of faculty that was there, but purely from the kind of, students or
Peer
the
groups.
Competition, that was there. So I think that was a big plus point, and that helped eventually. Like I would say all of these things, all of these stages taught a lot of things that I'm implementing right now, right? Like because I would say before 10th, I was a big time introvert, right? I was very scared of public speaking or, making friends. But, when you automatically come to a hostel setup or, such
no
a
choice.
big school, you have to make friends, and I think a lot of other people make you comfortable as well, right? Because in a hostel as well, there's a mix of extroverts and introverts, and at the end, you only have extroverts.
Why did you take that decision to go to Delhi to study? Because must have been very safe and comfortable back home, right?
For sure. But, again, it comes to the peer groups. In Raulkela, and again, if we had to look at after class 12, the path is to go to a good college in DU, right?
Yes.
Then you have to score above 97, 98 percentages, right?
Absolutely.
And in Raulkela, the maximum percentage that we have heard, or, a percentage that was celebrated was actually 94, 95% in 12th boards, right? So that was one of the things. Second thing was that eventually, if my aim is to, get to Delhi, why don't I start it right from school so that I spend a couple of years there, and when I go to college, that time I become even more comfortable, right? And that eventually happened, right? When I moved from class 12th to college, I had a good group of people with me, right? Good friends. I was much more comfortable with staying in Delhi, right? With the city, and we all took a flat together in college, right? We all went in different colleges, but we stayed together. We had a good network of friends already, right? So it gave that comfort as well. And again, the point of view was also that, there's much more competition in Delhi. There's, the teachers are people, who can guide us even better, who can push us. Because every year you had people scoring 99, 98 percentages from these schools. So the idea was that, if people are shifting to, let's say, cities like Kota or other places for IIT or NEET preparation after
For
class
DU,
10.
you should shift to Delhi.
Yeah. It was like, let's go to schools which produce people that go to these colleges, right? So that was the whole idea, and I think
It worked?
it did. Thankfully, it did. And because of that, so interestingly, a lot of people don't know that I was actually the Delhi topper in class 12th. That time in CBSE.
Delhi topper in 12th.
In 12th.
Overall,
in commerce.
What was your percentage?
I had 98.6%. And so I was the topper that time.
CBSE boards.
This was
98%.
CBSE board.
Okay.
And so eventually I could get to SRCC because of that. but I would say कि मेरी पढ़ाई बस वहीं तक थी, because the moment I was so saturated because of studying so much in 11th and 12th that
gave up.
Yeah, I gave up in college, right? Like for me, it was कि classroom के बाहर क्या क्या हो सकता है, I'll do all of that. So my percentages was in single digits in college, right? Like the moment I entered college, it was a bigger shock, right? Because again, SRCC had again the cream of all the schools.
So all of them were 98 percentages.
Correct.
My God.
Right, and then you like most of us were burned out, right? Because of so much pressure we had put on ourselves during boards, etc. So for me, when I entered college, it was like, अब college के बाद क्या चीज़ है, right? College के बाद it's mostly you get to the real world, you work, right? Does your college percentage depend on the work, right? You do. It is not, right?
There is
School
no correlation.
percentages depend. CBSE percentages do depend. Like
To
CBSE
get the
percentage do
college.
decide your college,
Right, but
right?
next step is not true.
So for me, the idea was more about exploration. So a lot of juniors also, when they come to me and ask ki, bhaiya, we are clueless, we are in first year, second year, we don't know what to do. I'm like, congratulations, you are in a good space, because I was also in that space. And if you're actually in that space, then you are open-minded to absorb a lot of ideas.
True.
That you can work upon, right? Otherwise, अगर आप college में सोच के घुसे हो कि नहीं, I want to do
पढ़ाई
CA
करनी।
या finance या ये करना है, then you may not be open to other ideas which might actually excite you, right? So for me as well, I was not focused like if you go back 5 years and ask me कि अच्छा, do you envision yourself doing a P-Tal का startup business? I was like, you must be joking, right? I don't think I can do this. But eventually, in college I got a part of Enactus, right, which is a social entrepreneurship society where we undertake projects, college projects that have a that are like businesses but have a positive power on the society. It's not charity, it's not donation, but it's about social entrepreneurship, right? So I think that became my calling. So I think in the first month I got a part of 10 college societies, but eventually within the next quarter I was just part of Enactus, because that became my calling ki yeah, this is something that I really like doing. This actually makes an impact on ground. It is not something that you are working in class and you are.
No, but you're in a way contradicting what normally people assume, that a 99 percentage guy would again want to do well in studies in college also, right? But you're saying that because it worked so hard, you then therefore went into extracurricular activities. Was that a transition that everyone takes, you feel, or it happened specifically for you?
I think not sure about everyone else, but I think coming to college, one common thing that we could see is that a lot of people actually wanted to explore certain things beyond college, right? And especially because those things open up. You have case study competitions, you have inter-college activities,
Right.
You have to start doing internships, right? So I think college environment in itself opens up a lot of those things. And I would say one of the things that also contributed for me becoming that way was a tough course. So I had chosen economics honors.
In SRCC,
in
which
SRCC.
is like the peak.
Correct. So because BCom honors, there are 600 students in SRCC, but economics honors, there's the batch size is just 120, right? Because the cutoffs are even higher, right? So for me, it was not from a POV ki acha, I have to do something in economics later. It was just from a POV of interest. Yeah, economics honors is something which economics was good in school, and that was one of the biggest misconceptions, that school economics will be equivalent to college economics.
Yeah.
But it was a whole lot difficult. So I think the fact that college education was actually difficult made me push towards exploring other things where I could actually do well or make use of my skills. So I think Enactus happened, and that was the biggest game changer. In fact, a lot of my relatives, family members used to say that कि बेटा तुम economics honors नहीं कर रहे, तुम Enactus honors कर रहे हो, right? Because they used to see me more involved in Enactus projects. So yeah, that happened, and that is when we started P-Tal. Right, we got to know about this community of artisans in Jandiala Guru, Amritsar, which was, practicing India's only UNESCO-listed craft form. And the number of artisans who were practicing it had reduced from 500 to just 30, right? And these artisans, when we went to meet them, were earning just 2,000 rupees a month, right? So that was mind-boggling for us.
So you spoke about investors also using your product and therefore gaining trust. You went into Shark Tank also. It was one of the hit episodes. Three of you coming together and explaining how the product has picked up. Tell us a little about your Shark Tank experience, both from what went wow and what you thought could have been better from any perspective. And I am also curious to know Shark Tank के बाद क्या हुआ? Post Shark Tank, you got an all shark deal. तो कितने sharks touch में रहे to kind of help you make it better? कितनों के साथ उतनी बात नहीं हो पाई? If you can take us through that experience.
You know, we were actually planning not to go to Shark Tank, right? So when the opportunity came, so interestingly क्या हुआ, हमें बताया गया कि हमारा Shark Tank final audition in Bombay was supposed to happen in the last week of October, and Diwali was in the, I think, 10th or 11th of November, right? And for most businesses, just like most businesses, our business was also heavily dependent on Diwali,
festive
right?
season.
In fact, धनतेरस में तो लोग बोलते हैं कि आप पीतल खरीदो,
हाँ.
right? So धनतेरस is like a war zone for us, right? You know, we were very scared कि यार, we were operating as a small team. If all the founders go for 3-4 days to Bombay to do this, you know, we'll miss out on Diwali, right? Like every single day, every single hour is very important during Diwali. So, but then, you know, how we took that decision कि let's go to Shark Tank is, let's say if this Diwali gets compromised, we'll get a chance to celebrate another Diwali in March when the episode airs, right? So we thought, you know, we'll
Makes
get
sense.
many Diwalis. Let's not miss out on this chance of getting that exposure and taking our mission to so many people
This
through
is
one
great
platform.
marketing, Shark Tank itself.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, we were very keen to share our story. More importantly, we were never thinking on the front that, you know,
Deal
whether
over
we'll
this.
get investors or not, whether we'll crack a deal or not. The idea was purely that, you know, it would mean everything for us if we are able to share about our craft form
And
on
the
such a big
artisans.
platform, about our artisans. And hence you'll notice that, you know, our pitch started with talking about our artisans,
Yes,
right?
I remember.
We had the thak of our artisans playing, you know, everything. We had a board which named Thursday Thatera. We had portraits of artisans, right?
Yes,
So it was the fact that हम टीवी पे आए वो ठीक है बट हमारे आर्टिसंस टीवी पे जरूर आने चाहिए, राइट? सो दैट वाज द आइडिया दैट वी वांटेड टू डू. सो यू नो, even the night before our final pitch, right, we were just discussing that, you know, we just need to go out there, feel proud of sharing our story, right? And at the end of the day, the sharks also will ask questions about what we are doing on a daily basis for the last 5 years, right? So we don't need to be scared about anything. It should be more about the pride that we all should have in terms of, you know, our artisans and the craft that they've been doing, and the message that we need to communicate to the entire nation, right, about the fact that you should focus on your cooking utensils as well. So Shark Tank from that perspective was great. I think we were fortunate enough to get the support of all the sharks on the show and, you know, cover a lot of things that we wanted to convey. So before Shark Tank, I would say, you know, many things were different, and Shark Tank came as a big change for us. I think the day we had our Shark Tank airing, we did, in a single day, we did more sales than we did in an entire month last year in the same time.
From
right?
the website or from
Overall, as a
overall?
business, right? So that was massive for us, right? And a lot of products became bestsellers. You know, we could see the website traffic spike up, a lot of queries coming in, and you know, it changed everything for us, you know, overnight, and that felt surreal, right? Like it felt like a dream, to be honest. And I would say, you know, one of the other things which a lot of people don't experience or don't get to know about, which changes brands after Shark Tank, is the fact that, you know, for a brand like ours, you know, which was based in Panchkula, which is the tier 2 city, right, a lot of people started coming and were ready to work with us, right, because of branding that we got from Shark Tank. A lot of people were willing to shift from Bombay, from Delhi to come to Panchkula, right, where they may not have a lot of friends,
Yeah.
just to work for our purpose, right, just to work for the story that we had.
Beautiful.
Right, so I think that was one of the big changes, right? Like, see, if it's about spike in sales, that can happen anytime, any which way, right? You have different ways to do it. But things like this, right, like to attract talent to shift to a tier 2
Where
city
the
for you.
purpose is recognized, the reason why they're coming is so pure.
Like, you know, they can shift for an HUL or for any other big company, Marico, to remote locations. But, you know, for shifting for a startup to a remote location is a big thing, right? And I think that is also something that I was also discussing with one of our sharks, Amit Jain, who has built Car Dekho from Jaipur, right? Which again is not at par with other tier 1 cities. But again, examples like him, examples like Minimalist, which are built purely out of tier 2 cities, give us that inspiration that, you can attract talent if you build business to a certain level, scale that to a certain purpose. It will obviously be hard than finding talent in Delhi, but if you find those people there, they can work wonders for you.
There are many pros to it also. If you're building it from a smaller city, manpower cost is one of them, of course, which keeps the P&L in order. And then there is the purity of purpose, I think, significantly increases.
Correct.
When you build it from a tier 2 or a tier 3 city. You will get less job seekers, you will get more people who can get emotionally connected to you, to stand with you and build your brand together. So those are the pros. Of course, the resources go down on how much exposure they have had, etc. But again, combining the two, I also personally feel building from a lesser city might be more of a blessing than a curse when you're building a brand.
And also one more thing that changed for us after Shark Tank was the fact that before Shark Tank, I used to hate going to family functions and family weddings because the most constant question being asked was not ki beta shaadi kab karoge, but it was beta Shark Tank pe kab aoge. But that question now got answered, right? For me after Shark Tank, that one of the questions is of course answered, that Shark Tank thing is done, because Shark Tank became a movement, right? Like, it wasn't just limited to people who understood entrepreneurship, but it actually got spread out, democratized entrepreneurship for people, right?
Yes.
It could then be accepted, right? Like, people right from the age of 5 to the age of 80 started watching it, right? And started doing it on a regular basis.
It's become a household discussion on
Absolutely.
brands that would come to Shark Tank. There would be people, and it would come at a time when people are having dinner. And
Correct.
therefore the family is together and they're watching. It's a prime time from a TV show perspective also. So all of it comes together. Coming from Shark Tank, therefore, what has been some of your marketing strategies that has helped you scale? We see that the trajectory of the organization also has been very, very positive in the last year or so. And like we were discussing just before the show, that you've almost hit a 30 CR revenue run rate currently, and it's only going to become bigger and better from here. What are the top 2-3 marketing strategies that you think has worked, that you would want to leave as a suggestion for our viewers also who want to build a D2C brand in the future?
So I think one of the key things how we are going about building this brand is looking at the sustainability of our P&L and strategies as well. Right?
Are you profitable? Sorry, I'm asking in between.
Yeah, we are profitable since day one.
Amazing.
Right. So what we have always believed in is the fact that you shouldn't do marketing to get your PMF. You should do marketing only after your PMF is done, right? And that's why, we always focus on first fixing the basics before doing the marketing, right? So we need to make sure our website is up to date, our product is perfect, right? Our operations are built in a way which are very solid, our supply is there, right? Because then it doesn't matter, because of marketing you get a lot of customers. If you're not able to deliver on that promise or deliver on what you stand for as a brand, then all that marketing money will just go to waste, right? So one of the core things that decides all the strategies we do is the fact that making sure we are covered on most aspects, we are strong on most aspects before spending money on getting people, right? So that is number one. Other fact is that, we always look at the fact that we are building a brand in an unorganized space, right? It's not just about buying and selling of utensils, it's about selling stories, right? We want to build an entire experience around it. So we always, whenever we start with a marketing activity, or let's say launching a product, we have a discussion on about what's the most non-obvious way of selling this product, right? So we look at how we can do a lot of storytelling, how we can connect consumers. So there's this one strategy that goes basic in everything we do, right? Whenever we make videos, right, we make videos from a perspective that it should appeal to all age groups, all consumer groups, right? If we just look at our TG, who might be above a certain age, or who might be more into cooking, etc., then we might limit ourselves, because at the end of the day you are not able to control who is watching your content, right? And specifically after the emergence of Reels are a way to expose yourself to a wide audience, right? So we wanted to make sure that, whatever videos we make, we do storytelling in a way that it gets related to every age group, right? We do stories which hook people, not just from our target audience, but gets more reach, helps us to build our audience on the page, right? And once that audience is built, we use photos, we use other sort of content to then sell our products, right? So that is one of the ideas, philosophies that follow, that we follow. And then, we look at the fact that eventually all of these age groups will become our customers, right? We as a brand are not there for a 3-year journey or a 5-year journey. We are there for more than 20-30-year journey, right? So eventually the 15-year-old consumer will become my consumer
Eventually,
someday
I agree.
or the other.
I agree. I think a lot of founders talk not only on this show but across, talk about building a brand for legacy, for surviving for 500 years, 100 years, surviving beyond them. If you have to define it, objectively define it with metrics, what metrics do you want to chase in order to build a brand for longevity that will survive the test of time? Do you have any thoughts in that direction?
I think, what we always feel is that that's why something that since very long I have felt, other than the brand part, one of the questions I used to hate was about where will you be 5 years down the line, right? Because we used to think that every month things change, right? So you may think that this is where you want to be, but just because of so many dynamic things happening, चीज़ें बदलती रहेंगी. So, one of the things that, we want to envision is just long-term survival, right? कि मतलब अगर हमारा brand 20-30 साल भी जिंदा है, right? We have won, right? मतलब
I agree with, but how?
We need to stay relevant. So I think it's more about how many people we are able to reach out to, how much time we are able to stay in a customer's household, right? Let's say, for example, this is one thing that we enjoy as a category, right? अगर आप कोई food brand हो, people may buy a chocolate from you and then may not buy it for many years, or may keep buying from you, etc. The best part about our brand or our products is the fact that अगर किसी ने कढ़ाई ले ली, we'll stay in a consumer household for a minimum of 10 years, right?
इंडिया में कढ़ाई 10 साल चलता है.
एवरेज कढ़ाई नहीं चलता, बट पीतल की कढ़ाई तो इट्स लास्ट फॉर मोर देन 50 to 80 years. That's why we are one of the only brands in the market which provides lifetime warranty, right? So whenever you buy our products, they're going to last you for ages, right? And we know that they're going to be there for ages. So that is what we say, that just like our products, we want to make sure that our company lasts for ages as well, right? And so on that front, how we just benchmark is the fact that we need to keep doing what we are doing on a much greater level, right? We need to keep doing the basics right, not chase growth or run after, कि अच्छा मेरे को. And this is also one thing that we learned from one of our investors, right? So they were like, क्या आदित्य तेरे को अगले साल 100 करोड़ क्यों करना है? तू 50 करोड़ क्यों नहीं करना तेरे को? क्या तू अगले साल मर जाएगा या तू वेंटिलेटर पे अभी? बोला नहीं. फिर तेरे को क्यों करना है 100 करोड़? तू 50 करोड़ कर ले, उसके बाद 70 करोड़ कर लियो, फिर 80 करोड़ कर लियो, right? You are not dying next year, right? So you don't need to be in a pressure to do that number. What you need to make sure that even if you're doing 70 crores of business and not 100 crores, are you reaching to that 70 crores of customer base in a very strong way? Are those people your brand advocates, right? क्योंकि यार देखो, आज ads चला के आप सबको ला सकते हो जो one time आपका product use करे, right? और फेंक दे खरीद के.
Makes sense.
But what really matters is that are those people using your products, keeping your products, and promoting your products, right? Do they become those ambassadors of your products is what the challenge is, right? And hence, what we feel strongly as a brand is that our real journey doesn't start when a customer buys our product. Our real journey starts when a customer has actually got the product delivered at their house, right? That is when our journey with the customer starts, where we need to engage with them. So हम ये सारी चीज़ें अलग अलग वेज में भी करते हैं, राइट? किसी कस्टमर को प्रोडक्ट पहुंच जाता है तो हम उनको उसी दिन एक मैसेज भेजते हैं व्हाट्सएप पे, विच इज़ अ गाइड बुक ऑन रेसिपीज़, हाउ टू मेक डूज एंड डोंट्स ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट. वी सेंड अ फिजिकल गाइड बुक एज वेल कि ये मास्टर शेफ्स ने रेसिपीज़ बनाई हुई है हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स में, दैट यू कैन ऑल्सो मेक, और दीज आर द स्टेप्स ऑफ हाउ यू कैन यूज़ द ट्रेडिशनल यूटेंसिल्स इन द बेस्ट वे पॉसिबल. सो we just feel as an organization, right, that if we keep doing the right things for our customers, right? See, at the end of the day, it's a consumer brand, right? So if we keep doing the right things for our customers, it may just help us, live long enough to serve many more such customers and deliver that.
थोड़े
promise.
insights बताओ कि इस चीज के लिए your customers have kept buying your products. Of course, एक product जो खरीदे बहुत साल चलता है, but और भी खरीदे, like you have let's say 40 SKUs, तो अलग अलग SKUs और खरीदने लगे. What are the insights? ये क्या पता लगा जिससे repeat business same customer से आया है?
So अभी ना हमें दो चीज़ों के थ्रू कस्टमर्स रिपीट्स आते हैं, राइट? बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल टेल कि यार तुम्हारा एक बर्तन किसी ने लिया वो तो 50-100 साल चलेगा. So how will you make business from
Yes,
them, right?
yes.
So we say that that is something that we don't want कि चलो वो बंदा बार बार आके हमसे सेम प्रोडक्ट ले, right? If they are able to use it for long, that's good for us. So one thing that we need to always keep doing is make more products, innovate on new SKUs. That how can we take more space in their kitchen, right? How can we get to their kitchen, right? In a much better manner, right? So that is what we keep focusing on. So that is something that a metric that we have tracked. The moment we launch a new product, the repeat rate shoots up heavily, right? In that month, right? A lot of people come back, buy our products.
Same customers.
Same customers, and because a lot of customers keep asking us, right? Ki, when is the new product launching? And that's why before launching it on our website or before marketing it through Meta ads or Google ads, we send out a WhatsApp campaign to our old customers, and that is where we see a huge jump, right? That
will you try our product? Yes, no kind of
we
campaign?
give a sneak peek. You are the people who know the best about using our products, right? So you use it, you give us a feedback, and here's a special coupon code for you to try out the product, right? And then only based on your feedback we launch the product or not, etc., right? So it has actually happened that a lot of times we have pulled back certain products if we have got more complaints from them, right? कि अगर लोगों ने बोला कि अच्छा product सही नहीं है, quality सही नहीं है, we have stopped selling those products. We have went back to the drawing board, refurbished that product, made a new product, and then only launched it, right? So one thing which becomes very important is that considering the fact कि बहुत सारे customers ऐसे होंगे कि जो एक बार हमें खरीदे हैं या एक प्रोडक्ट खरीदे हैं जो सालों साल चल रहे हैं, quality needs to be perfect, right? And see, this is something that is a consumer mindset, right? With higher value of products, the expectations rise as well, right? So अगर किसी ने 4,000 का प्रोडक्ट खरीदा है, they will expect that the product comes of a value जो 10,000 का प्रोडक्ट हो, right? उनको थोड़ा सा भी कंप्लेन ना हो, right? So we need to make sure that they are able to get that value, and hence we say a lot of customers find our products expensive before they purchase it, but they find our products valuable after they have made the purchase, right? Or after they receive it. So that is, we just look at these metrics, understand what do our old customers think about the brand, right? And that is the kind of love we are able to see when these old customers come back to us, either for buying more things for their kitchen, or which brings us to the second part of how the repurchases happen, is when they want to gift those products to their old their own friends, or choose us for Diwali gifting. They want us to be a part of their special occasions like weddings, or they want us to be a part of their corporate giftings as well, right? So most of the gifting that we do as of now is completely inbound and our customer driven, right? So our acquisition source is our customers, right? So they are the people who go out, who get us clients, and all our corporate clients are currently because of the fact that उनमें से कोई ना कोई हमारा customer रह चुका है.
So Aditya, we come to the last section of Badhta India Dekho, which is the rapid fire section. Expectations are simple. I'll ask you a few questions and you have to answer the first thing that comes to your mind. We can start whenever you're ready. Okay, great. First question on the rapid fire round. A book that inspired your journey.
It was actually also the first book. It's the CEO Factory. I was never a book reader.
Factory.
The CEO Factory by Sudhir Sitapati.
Oh, very nice. What is your go-to strategy for handling stress?
For me, it is playing sports. So I play table tennis, or I go to the gym sometimes. But that's the way to beat stress.
Okay, most innovative product idea you're working on?
In terms of new products, I would say the one that we recently did was very refreshing for us and took a lot of time. It was almost like giving birth to a new baby. It took 9 months. Our copper water bottle.
Okay.
Right. So yeah.
You are advising the audience to try it?
For sure. I mean, it has taken so much time, and we have put in so much efforts to talk to so many people. So I'm sure people will love it when.
Amazing. One traditional craft other than this that you are absolutely in love with?
I think for sure it will be carpet weaving, right? Again, inspired by Jaipur rugs and what they've been doing. But like, we love crafts. There are a lot many more that really inspire us. But carpet weaving would be one
Lovely.
of them.
Best place that you have visited till now that you would want to keep going back to?
Tricky question, but I would say New York, for the love of what we got from our customers. That's the latest place I went to, right? So I love people as well as the city. So New York for sure.
Okay. What's your dream dinner guest? Who is your dream dinner guest?
That's an interesting question. I haven't thought about that much, but that would be Mr. Ratan Tata.
Okay, you don't have to explain that. One piece of advice you wish you would have received before starting P-Tal?
It would definitely be the fact of us looking at it more from a business right from the beginning, just to ensure the scale is there. And we build things
true.
and set processes.
True, and you spoke about a little bit on the podcast also. Most surprising lessons as an entrepreneur that shocked you also. God, I didn't know this.
You never get free time. You don't have freedom.
It's scaring.
I think the fact that you can, earn money, a lot of them, right? That you see, it's not a quick shortcut to money. It's actually a marathon and not a 100-meter sprint.
What's your big goal for P-Tal coming up?
I think the fact that, we want to take our tradition global, right? And not just keep it limited to India. So we say that just like Indian food is becoming popular globally, we want to make sure that Indian traditional utensils also become a part of that entire Indian food experience.
Interesting. How soon is Aditya getting married?
I don't see that happening, at least. Maybe till the time we go public.
Okay, that's
Milestone.
Okay, and if not P-Tal, what would Aditya have been doing now?
I think I would have loved working in a company like HUL. Again, more connected to the first answer that I gave for the book.
Yeah.
CEO Factory is actually a book on how HUL has built brands. So I'm a big fan of that organization. So definitely that.
Thank you so much, Aditya, for coming to Badhta India. Dekho, it was a pleasure to have you with us, hearing your thoughts, explaining in very lucid format on how an entrepreneur should think, the values to create, how to expand business, marketing, beautiful combination of marketing and product for P-Tal. We wish you all the best for the coming years also, and we wish that all the dreams that you have come true.
Thank you so much. Means a lot. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Wow. Did you hear that? I'm personally so inspired today to hear his story. जहाँ पे आज की दुनिया में जहाँ पे rest of the world is running behind scale, behind valuation, behind exits, here is one guy so young and so fresh with energy that he's here to revive a long lost community among all of us. Why don't you try P-Tal today and go to his website and see what are the products that are available. Even more important, why don't you subscribe to Badhta India Dekho for not only this but many more such episodes on the entrepreneurship and real struggles and successes of India coming up for you.